I'm Joe, and this is Juju. We both obviously work for BOI, and we assume you're here today because you work in marketing in some way, and you've been navigating a lot of the same kind of change and challenges that we're all experiencing. And maybe you're interested in finding a path forward to future-proof your marketing skill set and maybe future-proof the brands that you're working on. So we're hoping to give you some good ideas on that today. And we're going to talk about where we see the AI native future, its impact on marketing, and how we could be thinking about it maybe a little bit differently in terms of going beyond marketing execution and thinking about AI as an overall strategic growth driver. Just a quick note for the talk today, a lot of our examples are focused on B2C, but we are also doing a lot of work in B2B. So if you're a B2B marketer in the chat, let us know. Hopefully this will still be relevant to you. I think it is, but we could have a whole separate conversation on that topic. Also, we want to keep this really as interactive as possible. So we're going to be monitoring the chat and pausing to ask questions and all of that. So please keep it active. Let us know what you're thinking, and we're excited to hear from you. So, but since we are all together and we're all marketers, let's say, assume most of you are, we're going to take a step back a second and take a moment to appreciate the absolute madness of this modern CMO job description. I don't know if you've seen, but there are entire Reddit communities that are focused on how ridiculous the CMO or VP of marketing job descriptions are now. Oh, I'm getting a note. Do we need to reload to get the chat working? Because I'm not seeing chat. Are you seeing chat, Juju?
It says the chat should now work. So if someone wants to help us by testing that out.
Okay, there we go. Yay, now we're seeing people in the chat. Okay, great. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Vince. Nice to see you. All right, back to this job description that I'm showing you. If you think about being a marketing leader, you're expected to be a master strategist, right? Crafting marketing plans that drive awareness, customer acquisition, revenue. But you also are a hands-on executor. You've got to optimize ad campaigns, buy media, tweak SEO, write emails. Of course, you're expected to be an expert in digital, print, PR, social, partnerships, events, and don't forget data analytics. You should be fluent in every dashboard, every metric, and ideally you can predict the future using machine learning. But wait, you're also the guardian of company culture. You're responsible for fostering collaboration, mentoring talent, navigating stakeholder politics. There's a lot of those, while you're also drowning in an avalanche of deliverables. Does this all sound familiar to you? And if you haven't seen those Reddit communities about this, I totally suggest you check them out because they're hilarious. But let's be real, there is no single person that can do that job. I know I can't. Companies really are looking for unicorns and they think maybe one person can be an entire department. But just in case being a strategist, a content creator, a data scientist, a culture builder, and a digital wizard isn't enough, here's the truth. 80% of CEOs expect CMOs to be the primary driver of business growth. Wow. And that business growth better come quickly because compensation for marketers and tenure for marketers, as we all know, is based mostly on short-term ROI. So even though they're also responsible for long-term brand building. So the truth is, this job description is pretty all-encompassing, and it puts marketers in the role of brand steward and growth architect. I'm sure this list here of core responsibilities for a marketer looks pretty familiar to all of you. I bet I'm missing some things there. So if I am, add them to the chat. I mean, we've got everything here from brand vision to media planning to data analytics to global resourcing, you name it. So lots going on. And it looks like lots of people are in on the joke about the CMO or the head of marketing role. The CMO title is obsolete. Now I'm the chief growth officer. So that's kind of the reality. But meanwhile, AI has added a whole lot of new complexity into the marketing function, not less. If it really is fundamentally changing the speed of marketing. Marketing's never moved faster, and AI is accelerating everything in the landscape. So AI is, of course, solving some existing marketing problems that stem from that long list of responsibilities, and we're going to go into those in a minute. But it's also creating a lot of new complexities for marketers. I've had the chance to speak with a lot of CMOs and heads of marketing and hear lots of things like, how do we ensure brand consistency when AI is cranking out content at scale? Or how do we operationalize insights from a tidal wave of data? I mean, if you're a DTC marketer, I mean, the amount of data you get on a daily basis is insane. How do humans match the speed of AI and keep up as fast as our competitors or as fast as consumers? How do we manage ethical and regulatory pressures around AI deployment? How do we make decisions in real time like never before? And here's a biggie. How do we get talent up to speed? I'm sure you've heard all of these. Marketers are really overwhelmed, and I find often feeling really insecure in many ways. We want to hear from you. We're going to launch a little poll right now to ask you which of these new realities is keeping you up at night. That poll should be live. Is it live? Yeah.
It's live.
Poll's live. So go ahead and answer that. We're curious to see, well, hopefully you're not up at night all night, but I know some of those do keep me up at night. So can you see the poll results at all there, Juju?
Taking a look right now. Oh, yes, they're coming in right now. So far, AI generated content scaling and data overload and complexity.
Data overlords. I love it. That is so true.
I think that's what we're calling it now. Yeah, definitely data overlord and complexity. And then AI-driven speed and AI-generated content are close seconds. So not surprising.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of us are on the same page in terms of how complex the job of a marketer is, and maybe how more complex it is becoming based on the speed of transformation and the speed of AI. But hopefully we all also agree that those of us who are going to be successful in the future are going to do it because we're going to reinvent our marketing functions, not just automate our marketing functions. I'm not looking to obsolete jobs. We're looking to really think about new ways to work. So let's move for a minute beyond today's reality and explore a bit of what's coming next. So hold on a second. No, why am I'm not advancing. Hang on. Does this have something to do with the poll, maybe? Oh, here we go. Okay, so today, Juju and I are going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about enduring marketing challenges and new marketing challenges. We're going to talk about how AI-powered marketers can unleash some new capabilities to address them. But before we do, we're going to start with some brief level setting on the future. We could talk for hours on the AI future of marketing. Juju and I have been collaborating on a lot of work streams in this space. If you want more depth on the future of marketing, you can go back and watch my talk from the Autonomous Summit back in January, because it's digs really deeply into the topic. I'm just going to do a couple of things on this here just for level setting. Then Juju is going to come in and share some ways that AI is already being leveraged against existing executional challenges. And then I'm going to come back and talk about some additional applications for AI for strategic growth challenges. And hopefully we'll end this talk with some ideas on how to get you started in the space. Sound good? Okay. Great. So how do we see the 3 to 5 year future? And I promise this part's going to be brief. No matter the pace of change, we know that our world is becoming more autonomous. We're on this pathway to a new paradigm that goes beyond digital. And this is the cornerstone of overarching shifts on the horizon that's going to impact marketing. Obviously, it's hard to truly predict the future, but we're confident that marketing is going to be seriously impacted by some future scenarios. The most foundational shift that we've been talking about is the agentic ecosystem, which I assume you've all heard a lot about and maybe you're already preparing for. But this is the world where AI agents are going to represent brands and consumers and media, and they're going to make decisions and negotiate and interact with each other in real time. So they're going to become really integral to economic systems, and they're going to be creating a whole new marketing paradigm for us, because instead of focusing solely on a typical human's emotional and purchase trigger, we're going to shift to hybrid marketing through AI agents that manage and streamline choices on behalf of consumers. So this means we've got to develop expertise in the art of influencing and optimizing agents to achieve marketing objectives. So we'll no longer be marketing to just humans. Alongside that agentic ecosystem, we're going to see major shifts in personalization. We're moving beyond static segments and predefined characteristics, and the future of marketing is really hyper contextual. So it's going to be adapting in real time to a consumer's location or their emotional state or their physical condition. Whatever immediate context is shown by the AI collecting and processing real-time data. So AI-driven insights from this data is going to lead to more precise marketing decisions. It's going to transform segmentation. This is already starting to happen. I mean, we've been talking about personalization forever, but it's on a whole new scale. There's like a background noise happening. Juju, are you hearing that too?
Maybe let me go on mute and let me know if that's...
Yeah, that might help. Got it. Finally, I just want to land that the biggest and clearest implication is that really marketing models are in transition. So in the past, we were focused on this lovely linear funnel. Those were the good old days. Recent years, we've been working more in this dynamic model, which is this kind of fluid interaction between consumers, brands, and media. But if we think about an agentic marketing model for the future, it's an even greater evolution. It's what we're calling the perpetual loop. Again, we have a long talk on this that you can go watch, but it's important to consider this new reality as we think about being a leader in marketing in an AI native future. So let's talk just for a quick sec about that evolution, like with previous technological advancements. So we see all this change coming. How are we going to get there? Well, AI adoption is going to follow 3 waves. The first wave, which we call wave 1, is around applying the technology to existing ways of working, looking for time or cost efficiencies. This is where most AI investments in business are today, and definitely in marketing, which Juju's going to talk about. Wave 2 is about doing all that, plus thinking about quality and typically safety, making things faster, but now making them better. And wave 3 transformation is really about creating entirely new ways of doing things. We're not at this stage looking at improving existing workflows, but reinventing the way we work. And most marketers today, as I said, are focused on wave 1, which are applications of AI that are more of efficiency plays for immediate executional impact. And Juju is up next to share some example. But here's the thing, as in most transformation cycles, being successful in wave 1 is not a predictor of being successful in wave 2 or 3. So, well, yeah, we encourage you to capitalize on immediate opportunities in wave 1. We think you should be doing it while building towards transformative long-term change. So we're recommending that companies make simultaneous investments in all 3 waves, and we'll talk a bit later about how to think about that. But before we do, let's hear from Juju on what we're currently seeing in terms of wave 1 transformations in marketing. All right, awesome. Juju, you can continue now.
Oh, perfect. Let me know if it is disruptive. I think we just got some lunch in the office. Anyway, thank you, Joe. We absolutely know that AI is creating some major changes and challenges in the world of marketing, as you mentioned. Those are not going away. In fact, they're going to be even more prevalent to us. But we also know that AI is solving many of these challenges. And so with that, we especially know that those are centered around efficiency and execution of work. So let's talk about some of those examples. So there are many functions within marketing, especially those that Joe alluded to earlier in the roles and responsibilities, that they're being addressed by AI. We see a lot of it ourselves in our own work. Things like social listening, content creation, generation, behavioral targeting, they're all areas we see traction on. And I'm sure many of you experience the same in your work. There are many off-the-shelf solutions that help make this work faster and cheaper, exactly what wave 1 is. And this is exactly where we see wave 1 come to life. And we also have a few examples of what those off the shelf, out of the box solutions look like. At the same time, AI is also helping solve and optimize some big enduring executional pain points on the next slide. So things like media efficiency, content creation, customer insights, personalization, and innovation. So hundreds of millions have been invested in these new AI capabilities and AI-powered solutions, from real-time targeting to generative creative to optimizing media buying. I'll go into a few examples of some of these and more, but before we do that, we would love to do a pulse check. So time for our next poll. So of these executional challenges, and you'll see them in the poll itself, which ones are you already leveraging AI to solve? So we'll give it a minute and I'll swap over to the poll to take a look at these answers in real time. And while that's coming in, I just want to note, I feel like we've had conversations and work around all of them, but Joe, I wanted to know if there's anything specific that you're seeing one versus the other. I know for me at least, it's a lot of it last year and earlier this year has been product innovation and insights, but
yeah, I mean, we've obviously been doing great work in the innovation space and the insight space. I know a lot of leaders are doing content creation, certain aspects of content creation. Obviously, people are experimenting with a lot of specific production applications, but there's also a lot of people just doing regular everyday captions for social and versioning of ads and things like that. And of course, on the media side, there's a lot of new ways to really think about optimization there.
Yeah, well, no surprise, content creation seems to be the biggest response here, followed by predictive insights. So
yeah, makes sense.
That means we do have a lot of marketers on the call. It's good, you're in the right spot. So let's go into a couple examples now. So just on the next slide, we can start with the first one. So as a heads up, the examples we have to show from our work are unbranded, obviously for confidentiality, but it's really the tip of the iceberg in terms of a lot of the work that we're doing. So this first example references some recent work we did for a spirits company, where we took static content that they had and executed it in a way for it to be dynamically adaptable in order to be more relevant and picked up by LLMs. So for some more context, we're already seeing the rapid emergence of LLMs as a direct route to purchase, and this will evolve beyond chatbots to other consumer intermediaries. So in fact, traffic from US LLM chatbots to retail websites increased 1,800% between Black Friday 2023 and Black Friday 2024. This means consumers... What's that?
I said, that's a really big number.
Oh, yes. I was shocked when I saw that. So this means consumers are relying more on tools like ChatGPT to help them make purchases. No surprise there. But what this brings about is a prevalence of AIO, or artificial intelligence optimization, which becomes more about elevating content so large language models can find, understand, and cite this work. What this becomes then for businesses is about being able not just to generate content for humans, but also doing it in an executional way for LLMs to be able to bring this content to the humans that interact with it.
Well, and I think it's really safe to say here, Juju, that the brands that jump on this bandwagon early are going to have major advantages. I was reading a piece this week about someone who was using Operator or agentic, some agentic solutions across a variety of platforms to travel plan for a weekend in New York, and 4 different processes that he did across different platforms all recommended the same hotel. I mean, New York City has, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of hotels. So, clearly it was the Pods Hotel. Clearly they're already doing work to make sure that they're optimized in agentic search. So I think brands that start thinking about this now are going to have long-term advantages, at least over the near and moving into the long term.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And for those of you, the 67 I see that voted content creation, or even the others, I'm wondering if any of this is already on folks' radar. So I'd love to hear in the chat on any of that. Moving on to our next example, though, we know that customer and predictive insights will always be important to understand how consumers think and leverage that information in different applications of work, such as new product innovation, product testing with synthetic or real consumers, marketing copy, etc. So what we're seeing is that the life cycle of these predictive insights is getting smaller and smaller. And I'm sure everyone on this call has been in an experience where they've invested months and many dollars into an insight study or received one, only to find the information was already obsolete by the time the work was completed. So recently we worked with a wellness client to revamp a 3-year-old study they had on the future of wellness trends. And not only did we evaluate how relevant their existing trends were, we came up with new and refreshed trends in a matter of 2.5 weeks at a fraction of the cost. So the work was then immediately turned around and leveraged to conduct a brand positioning study and a product innovation project that we found was faster, more relevant, more integrated into the work they do. So it's not going away, but we really see that need for faster insight to application process coming up.
Yeah, this is fascinating. And I don't know, marketers in the background there in the chat, how many of you have been frustrated by out-of-date segmentation studies or insight studies? I mean, it just is the world is moving much faster than a lot of the stuff that we've typically used to inform decision making. So this is a really great area.
Absolutely.
Great.
Right. In the next one, we also take a lot of inspiration on what's going on in the real world, obviously, and want to showcase a few examples of this. Particularly, we see some brands performing well in using their marketing and advertising for personalization tactics. So in our first example, Pedigree's adoptable purpose campaign, this was my favorite one, personalized advertising by transforming these amateur shelter dog photos into something that looks more professional, grade images, using AI, and then using geo-targeting and first-party data to maximize ad effectiveness of where it was shown. So if that pet was adopted, it would come off the cycle, which kept the content relevant overall too. It's just such a sweet example and very purpose driven. In the next example, we're all very familiar with Starbucks apps, so it's not surprising they use personalized app experiences and promotions by analyzing users' past orders and preferences, but they also integrate things like time of day, weather, and location into the app itself. Similarly, McDonald's also implemented dynamic drive-through menus that utilize machine learning to personalize menu offerings in real time, using factors such as product availability, time of day, weather conditions, current restaurant traffic, trending menu items, etc. So this has found to have customers feel more positive about the menu options overall and have a better experience. And then, of course, I feel like we can never talk about marketing without talking about Netflix. So for the same TV series, in this case, Stranger Things, Netflix created a number of teaser images and displayed the ones that they felt was more specific to appeal to a certain user, depending on that user's watch rate, preference rate, etc. And that helped improve the viewing rate overall of the show. So really interesting to see how personalization drives marketing and usage overall. All right. And then in our last example here, of course, we're very familiar, like I said, with the world of product innovation. And now we take an AI-powered lens to the innovation process. So what you see here is a generic version of a product innovation engine we've built, where it used to take months to develop insights or conduct ideation sessions, test ideas with consumers, construct concept visuals, etc. We built custom AI tools to do this in a rapid, always-on way. So we found in our A/B test that synthetic ideation develops the same, if not better quality of output of ideas than humans in a fraction of the time and cost. So we built this type of capability for many clients, allowing them to connect insight data with real-time ideation and test those ideas with synthetic personas. So just another example of where we're seeing Wave 1 at work. With that, I will pass it back to Joe.
Well, and I feel good that I actually did a good job advancing your slides along with your talk. I don't want to disappoint you. Good. So, so many great examples of how AI is already solving marketing challenge. But as Juju has shown, pretty much all of those examples are around execution at scale. And the rest of this talk, we're going to be talking about how we can go beyond that and do more. And I want to bring you back to where we started, that crazy job description and the ridiculous expectations for marketers, and those age-old problems of growth driving or driving growth. So let's go back to the list of enduring challenges, but this time focus on the parts that most marketers are not yet leveraging AI to solve for, at least from what we've seen. And these are all in the area of strategic decision-making, which are things like where to invest, which innovations to pursue, how to model future market shifts, how to transform marketing organizations, or how to allocate resources globally. And here are some of the strategic problems we think AI can solve for based on a lot of conversations we've been having and a lot of the capabilities we've been working on. So first off, like in the area of market sensing and response, it's a struggle to detect emerging business or competitive and consumer shifts and maximize growth potential for new and core products in that realm. We hear a lot of that. Another pain point is decision making. We have so many backward-looking reports, but very few predictive tools to model and inform decision making. In the area of retail and commerce, marketers really need to shape demand and bring compelling category growth stories to retailers and really struggle to do that. In the areas of like global budget and resource allocation, it's really hard to know where to place bets across diverse geographies and product lines. I mean, if you are a marketer that is in charge of a global brand or a global category, it often feels too complex for humans to handle alone to actually navigate the category differences, the pricing difference, the competitive differences to know where to put your money. And last but not least, and there's more than this list, I'm sure, we're hearing a lot about organizational transformation. You know, marketing leaders are really under pressure to integrate AI, but they often lack a blueprint for an AI native marketing organization. So do these feel like familiar problems to you guys? If you can tell us in the chat, do they feel familiar? What are we missing as it relates to your kind of strategic pain points? So we'll do our last poll here, which of these strategic growth challenges are you most interested in leveraging AI to solve? And because this is a short list and there's more of them, what others are you thinking about? Feel free to add the others on the chat, but answer the poll and let us know what you think there. I'm going to go to the poll. Let me know what you're seeing there, Juju.
Look, a couple trickling in right now. Looks like org transformation. Yep. Not surprising.
Interesting.
And growth maximization.
Very good. Well, I don't want to close that poll because I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to answer, because we've been having so many conversations with so many different marketers, and I'm like, this is an interesting statistic for me to have to kind of balance all the qualitative feedback I've been getting to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it continues to look like growth maximization and org transformation seem to be
great.
I wouldn't say winning, but winning here.
Yeah. Robert just put in the chat that he's interested in the marketing org of the future where AI sits at the center and breaks down the current silos and segmented ways of working. And yeah, absolutely. I think back to the wave 3 transformation slide we were talking about, that when you're thinking third wave, you're thinking about not applying AI to your existing processes, you're thinking about whole new ways of working. And I think that's really critical. I see Risha saying for retailers, demand prediction is top of the list. Yeah, so supply and demand, any signals. I mean, this is a huge area that we're very excited and working on some capabilities there. Yeah.
Pretty much everyone at all roles or levels. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. If there's anything else anyone wants to put in the chat, if not, I'll move on. But thank you for answering the poll. I can't wait to look back at that and see if our instincts on this were correct, at least for the audience here. So thank you for your input. But for all those challenges that I just talked about and the ones that you're putting in the chat, these are all focused on filling the void of forward-looking strategy, anticipating changes, and positioning marketers to pivot in real time, which is not easy, as we know. And these are what we are thinking as strategic growth and adaptation challenges. And we really believe AI-powered capabilities can be leveraged to solve them and to help marketers predict, optimize, and react to market shifts faster than their competitors. So that's what we're going to talk about for the rest of this talk, if that's interesting to anybody. So think of this, I guess, as an AI power playbook for marketers. We've been collaborating with companies to build new capabilities to address a lot of those age-old complexities and pain points, and bucketing them kind of in 4 areas. Predict is focused on emerging trends with AI-powered market sensing and scenario simulation. Optimize is focused on AI-driven product and commercial innovation, like Juju demonstrated in one of her last examples, and optimizing your innovations and resource allocations. Adapt is really about real-time shifts and responses. And lead is, of course, focused on the transformation towards an AI native marketing org. And these are AI-powered growth and adaptation areas that are showing up in a lot of exciting capabilities. And here's a few that we've been building for a variety of client partners. Again, we're describing these in a generic way because, as you can imagine, all this kind of capability development right now is highly confidential within companies, but these are the type of problems that we're solving and the type of capabilities we're standing up. The first is in the area of market sensing and what we're calling growth maximization. And with this capability, we're using AI to detect emerging business, competitive, and consumer shifts, and then compare and recommend optimizations proactively. So this isn't about passive backward looking. It's around having like your finger on the pulse at every moment on what's happening in the market, and then being able to not just know that something's happening, but to have recommendations on how to address it. So for instance, if we're able to find that your key competitor has put a new claim in the market in their advertising, or has reduced their price, or has shifted in shelf presence, we can flag that and create a recommendation for the brand to maximize its growth in comparison to what's happening in the marketplace. The next area is a really broad area, but call it simulation and decision optimization. So this is about testing, optimizing, and de-risking critical strategic decisions using simulation environments that replicate the complex dynamics of your business. So as we said on the last conversation where someone was talking about retailer and supply and demand, simulation is something that's relevant across kind of every aspect of the marketing landscape and obviously the growth landscape in many ways. So whether that's thinking about demand planning or it's thinking about media spend optimization and simulation or what if scenarios around launching products into market or removing products from the portfolio, I think this is going to be a huge, huge area for marketers. Next area, agentic commerce. Here we're building the essential groundwork that's going to allow brands to compete or retain share and find new opportunities in this new retail future where, as we described, AI agents are going to be making decisions. So we know there's a new marketplace coming, there's new buyers coming. How do we help brands prepare for that? This is a biggie. And I think Juju's example of what the work we did in the alcohol space is an example of that. Strategic budget and resource allocation. So this is around optimizing spend across markets and product lines, being able to constantly be in real time, thinking about where you place your bets. And then finally, and it seems like this is a hot button from the group, organizational transformation. This is redefining marketing workflows and AI native team structures and actually leveraging AI and simulations to get to the answers. So it's not just thinking about how is AI going to change marketing, it's actually using some AI simulation to get there, which is really interesting. Before I move on, I just want to see if there's any core questions or things that we should be looking at.
I see a couple of questions trickling in. I think we can probably hold those for the end and address them at once.
Keep going. All right.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. So all of what I'm saying, I guess, if I left you with anything today, and I'm not done yet, so sorry, that wasn't a concluding signal, but what we want to really encourage you is to move beyond AI for execution, to think about AI for growth and expand your AI mindset. So this includes things like focusing on how complex data points drive insight, not just the data itself. And while you're doing that, don't just look for insights, know how to act on them. Like the idea that we can take insights to actual recommendations and actually simulate what the effect of those recommendations might be in market is just massively impactful. Use AI to accelerate decision making rather than just automating execution. I think this is a big shift in mindset for marketers. And ultimately, let's reimagine processes for an AI native world rather than automating the existing processes we have. And I think that's already come up in chat. So these are sort of, I guess, the calls to arms, the calls to action. And if you agree with us so far, I think the big question you're probably asking is, well, how do I get there? And some of the core questions we see are you uncertain around AI's impact and use case for your business? Do you want to know how to go from experiments to holistic AI strategy? I mean, the past 2 years have been a lot of AI experimentation. How do you go past that? Are you interested in developing a step-by-step roadmap to integrate AI into the organization? And do you want to future-proof your AI strategy and maintain a competitive edge? Yes or no? If the answers to these questions are yes, we have some ideas on a way forward there. So BOI has an AI strategy framework that uses our wave mapping methodology to identify opportunities for efficiency, revenue growth, and transformation. So it includes foundational elements like AI market drivers, which are about determining what will change about your business, but maybe even more importantly, what might remain unchanged. The AI strategy houses your AI ambitions and competitive advantages, which are really important to take stock of because we should be leaning into what we're great at as we think about applying AI for growth. This will also document where progress is already happening, collecting all of those existing experiments or new ways of working and trying to figure out where to invest. It also includes all the AI enablers. So these are the key factors that you need to consider as you transform, like governance, data, technology, ethics, culture, and more. So this is sort of what our AI strategy framework looks like. And in our wave mapping approach, we help you transition from these isolated AI experiments to a strategic kind of scalable portfolio across the 3 waves, which are a balance of efficiency and growth driven thinking. So our AI strategy framework is available for you to download. I think it will actually be in the chat as well, the link in the chat. And you can work on that independently, or we can help you build it via really quick turnaround and workshops where we help you define the agentic future for your specific category and company and wave map your capabilities to lead in that future. So in just a few weeks, we can get you to a holistic blueprint for leading in AI, identifying really tangible opportunities and the technology, and importantly, and given this chat, importantly, the org changes that you need to enable them. So that's sort of where we go in terms of AI strategy that leads into AI build. And, we hope we've given you something to think about here in terms of addressing the more enduring marketing challenge, which is some new AI native capabilities. And what we'd love to do now is just go to discussion and really talk more about this and hear from you. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go.
I have a couple of questions ready for us to go. So I think the first one that I really thought was interesting is how are you dealing with SEO changes and how AI is changing search? I do think part of that, is really about the differences between AIO and SEO. For instance, we know that LLMs tend to pick up newer websites as opposed to SEO picks up websites with authority. And SEO looks at keywords versus AIO is looking at contextual relevance within the content itself. So I think those are key changes. Our colleague Jeff actually wrote a blog post about this 2 days ago on LinkedIn, so you can check that out to see more. But it's a really interesting question that caught my eye.
Yeah, that's a great one. I like this one too that I want to answer. Is it possible to leverage AI-powered prediction tools without having internal proprietary data and rely on collecting data from external sources? And I would say yes and yes. A lot of the things that we're doing in terms of standing up some of these growth maximization tools or simulation is obviously using internal data where we have it, but also finding ways to get the information we need externally. An example of that, Juju, I don't know if you want to talk for a minute about how, for instance, we're looking at retailer environments, like how we're scraping Amazon or other retail websites to understand pricing, where perhaps someone might not have it for their competitors, or social feeds to sort of get content and value propositions.
I think the web scraping, social listening aspects of AI tools are much more sophisticated now. So you have the ability to really garner a lot of data, competitive data, without really needing internal or external data sets overall, and garner those insights. And I think part of that too is really being able to triangulate all of these different sources into one maybe thought process that AI is then able to take and shift and weight it on its own and understand what's priority and what's not priority. So we're seeing that now in real time right now, and it's really interesting. I'm nerding out about it. So
yeah, we're geeks on this. We have a question too about organizational change management and enabling that change. And yes, I think this is a core area because all of these new capabilities that we're building and standing up don't work if organizations don't change around them, and talent and all of that. And we have a lot of skills within the team. Particularly, I'm thinking about one of our teammates who has a PhD that's incredibly relevant to this conversation. So we're bringing, I think, a lot of new thinking to this space. And I think it obviously varies by functional area. It's going to vary whether we're doing enterprise level solutions or we're working with particular departments. Like, it's very interesting right now. A lot of the capabilities we're building, some of them are coming from the very top of the company and thinking more holistically, and some are actually coming from core functional areas. How do I, as a marketing leader, transform my area? How, as an insight leader, do I transform my area? How, as maybe a supply chain lead, am I thinking about it? So I think the organizational change management obviously varies based on where we're dealing with this. But yeah, if you want to reach out separately, happy to have a deeper conversation on that and bring in the right team members to do that, if that's helpful.
Yeah. I also, there was a comment, less a question, about something being key important is AI supporting decision making is key, and so we've had a big POV on that.
Yeah, and I don't think we're looking to replace human decision making. I think the question is, I mean, marketers are flooded with so much data. I mean, it's ridiculous. How do we make better, more informed human decisions based on understanding where we sit at any given time and in real time? And that's really what we're looking at. So I think I know I'm really excited for how I can de-risk decisions by having a better take at things through simulation environments in many ways. I think there's a question here about pharma, which is interesting because we are doing a lot of work in pharma right now. How can we adopt, enable, and approach AI native playbook and embed relevant workflows, drive approval as we can drive market engagement AI delivers? I think you're asking about how does that work in a highly regulated environment? And I think one of the really interesting things that we're finding in a lot of the AI capabilities we're building more in the pharmaceutical space is the ability to bring in regulatory criteria quicker into the process. So Juju, I don't know if you want to speak to an innovation example there about how we create feasibility agents that are looking at regulatory information before we're even getting to concepts, rather than human concept building that the R&D people later or the science people or the governance people tell you can't do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for one example, I think you're going in another direction, but it's actually calling out another project I was doing around working with an insurance company and their innovation team. This is where we did an A/B test, understanding how the speed and output of ideas from their innovation team, human-led versus AI-led. And so developing these AI tools, part of it was understanding the regulatory measures around the solutions they were looking to build for, insurance policies in their world. And so we were able to kind of understand and triangulate that within the tools that we built, and saw that the ideas that were put out had that in mind. And not only that, we're able to kind of stretch the thinking beyond what the humans are originally thought of. And we're able to have as good quality, if not better, and kind of live within that realm. There's another piece of work we're doing around the claims space overall. We need to think about how scientific claims can translate over to human language. So going from, I guess, medical journal to product packaging overall. And so we really need to think about what that means in terms of every step of the process, and ensure that when we do provide any recommendations, that they're also considered.
Got it. There's a question in here from Akram that I would love some color on. It says, how can AI-driven marketing strategy enhance a firm's seizing and reconfiguring capabilities? When you're saying a firm, do you mean like an advertising agency or a marketing consultancy versus a brand? If you can maybe add a little more color in the chat so we can answer that better. There's all questions about the MarTech stack to prepare for the perpetual loop. That's such a good question. I'm thinking about this on a daily basis. I think, I think, first of all, there's going to be a lot of innovation coming from existing MarTech platforms in terms of how to optimize their platforms in this agentic future, because if they don't do that, they know they're going to lose people. So I think we'll see how they evolve and what that means. I think right now, I know a lot of marketers I'm talking to, what they would hope right now in terms of a win from an agentic solution is that all of those different MarTech platforms that they are using are consolidated in some way, so that signals of growth could be coming into one source. And that's a lot of when we think about growth maximization and the kind of tools we want to and capabilities we want to build, it's about consolidating information to give a more useful and structured kind of recommendation for what's next, rather than just constantly going back and forth between different points of data. I'm not sure if that fully answers there. Did we get a?
I think we're still clarifying. I do like the question around training employees that have different backgrounds and levels of understanding in AI. There's so much information available, no clear path. I think, being at BOI and being in a world of culture, of AI culture for many years now, I think there's a lot of learning on the job, but also learning by doing and learning by picking up and learning by solutioning. So I think it's really just the exciting part of this journey is we did start it early, and now we're kind of, as we were going about it, we were learning with the work and with the growth that was happening. And now being able to have a perspective based on the experiences that we've had, it's been really interesting to see how the evolution of the impact of AI in all of our worlds and our businesses have come to fruition in the last few years. So I think really it's just by attending these things and listening to those podcasts out there, being informed of new work, new releases, new tools, new products, new solutions that are coming out into the world. And then also looking internally to see so many of the initial conversations that we have is, what is your current AI strategy? What are some of the tools and solutions you're looking at? What has been successful for you? What is still causing pain points and challenges, and really digging into those use cases and going from there.
Excellent.
So it's been fun to be part of this world. I also loved the question around developing predictive insights. I think it's evolved a little bit, but I do think that's also anchored on understanding future trends. You can tell this is something I'm very passionate about in the work that we do. So really now, again, it's about really being able to identify the shifts and signals that come across the different areas of trend research. So customer behavior, macro and microeconomic trends, really just new up and coming trends, policies, whatever it might be. And really AI helps us, before where we would have to think about all of these in silos, helps us understand and triangulate some of these, and then we can come in and prioritize and push the thinking and then understand where those gaps are. So I think step one, again, is small part of it is really understanding future trends.
Awesome. I'm trying to ping the team here to see if it's possible to add Laura to the stage. She's in the audience, but she's our org transformation specialist. And I think because we have so many questions in that area, I'm trying to see if it's possible to grab her onto stage from the back here. I'm not sure if it is, but
if not, we're just going to have to do another talk and answer these questions.
Yeah,
I'm just taking a look at all the new ones that have come in.
Who are innovative and excited about innovation are predisposed to experiment. How to get late adopter skeptics to experiment with it? Yeah, it's so interesting. We get this question a lot, and there's a lot of people who are either alone in an organization where they feel like they are an early adopter and they have to drag everyone along with them, or they're just in an organization in general that's slow moving. And one of the things we've been getting a lot of outreach on, and we're happy to do this for folks here, is to actually come and give some of these future impact kind of presentations to get people really living in what looks like the 3 to 5 year future and get them less fearful and more anticipatory about it. And I think that tends to help a lot, is getting people more focused on what it could be, and connecting the dots for them a little bit more on what they could be doing now. I think some of the early instincts over the last couple of years have been just throw a lot of tools at people and let people experiment on their own. And that works for some people, but not for others. There are other people who really need to understand what are these new capabilities that are important for the company to have? How do I build? And this is why we actually have this AI strategy framework in many ways, because it thinks about what has to happen within the organization to support this level of change and get me to my goals. So, I think there's lots of different ways at that, but I would say I'm a brand strategist by trade, so I'd say good strategy really helps. But obviously really thinking long and hard about how you inspire people too.
Absolutely.
And let's see if there's any other, trying to keep up with the chat.
I know.
Laura's proposing a separate conversation on change management, so we will definitely get that going in a follow-up conversation. And it sounds like, since we know from the poll that's an area of like big importance to a lot of you, we'll definitely make sure that happens. And if there aren't any more questions, I'm looking to see, have we neglected anything?
I think we answered most of them. So kind of popping in and out of them.
All right, I think we're
pretty good.
I nailed them all. So we'll give you guys back a few minutes, and feel free to reach out to us for follow-up. If you want to dive into the future of AI a little bit more, we have a lot of good talks there. I would encourage you all to also check out the library of talks from the Autonomous Summit, because they cover pretty much every area that we've talked about here. And happy to follow up with anyone individually. You can reach out to myself or to Juju. But thank you for attending, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.